Yes, people, we're back again. Raps on TV, reporting the best things in boxing live from London. Hope you're all well, all ready for the show. Slightly subdued weekend in the terms of boxing. We had Triple G with an undercooked performance in terms of the opponent, and probably the same for Fury. So two big names that seemingly not necessarily delivering in terms of the opponent. But listen, we're looking forward to chopping that up. Today I'm here with my co-host, Rafi. What's good, bro?
I'm all good, man. Yourself?
Yes. Well, I'm all good this side. Looking forward to seeing the return of the Gypsy King lineal heavyweight.
Yeah, you are. You have to be. You have to be when Tyson Fury gets back into the ring, especially coming off his last performance. But at the same time, you can't help but feel the other way because of the opponent choice. And I don't know, I'm sure you'll echo that as well.
Exactly. I think with Fury, I think probably, we have to say it now, since the Klitschko, I think when he is returning, there's not necessarily a huge excitement, but you're eager to see what he does in the ring.
Of course.
And obviously, since the Wilder fight, we want to see him in big names. So yeah, definitely we're going to look forward to chopping that up. Also got Warrington versus Kid Galahad fight taking place in the UK. Looking forward to that. Should be another interesting defence for Josh Warrington on his IBF.
Yeah, definitely. I'm going for Warrington myself. I think that Kid Galahad's also taken a massive mental block from all the negative press, obviously, surrounding him coming off what he did. But it'll be interesting because Josh Warrington's gone and done what he needed to do to break that domestic glass ceiling. He did that against Carl Frampton. He showed that he's a world level fighter, and not many people backed him to get through. I think, I can't remember if it was you, but I think Tom as well, we were a bit sceptical, thinking I think Carl Frampton's a bit too seasoned, but he passed the world level acid test, and you'd think that someone against someone like Kid Galahad, coming off the back of what he's coming off, I'm going for Warrington myself. How about you?
Yeah, I think it's hard to see past Warrington. I think you look at how he won the belt against, like you said, a quality opponent in Lee Selby. I remember the Selby Team Selby were quite confident that they were going to get the win. Had no doubts, but clearly they didn't. They couldn't deal with the pressure that Warrington applied. And oddly enough, we talk about Joshua and excuses, and not to say Team Selby used as an excuse, but one of the reasons that came up afterwards was, the weight is too much. I need to leave this division. Of
course,
XYZ. So just a little note on that one. But yeah, Warrington applied the pressure. The massive underdog. Somebody that everybody felt was just a football fan. Somebody that people felt were just was using the crowd to kind of boost his morale. But at the end of the day, they wouldn't fight for him. But you know what? He impressed me massively in that performance, and everyone was saying, Selby, but for me, he was consistent. He threw good combination shots, and ultimately, he just dealt with Lee Selby, which is not something you see done often. Against Frampton, I felt he would do the same, and I think Frampton. I think it's harsh on Warrington to say, Frampton underestimated him, but I do think, Frampton's got a very high skill set, so sometimes he may look at Warrington and think, I can maybe do 78% and beat you. But I think, he was not only impressed, I think he got the full respect, or he gave Warrington his full respect and realised this is a really good fighter. I know there's history between him and Galahad, but his comments were quite interesting, I felt. So, for me, I don't want to say I can only see one winner. But
that's too harsh.
Yeah, but it's for Galahad. Okay, what is he gonna do to really to win? And really, it's going to have to outwork Warrington, whether that's defensively,
which is so hard.
Exactly, defensively, or whether he's attacking. Attacking wise, probably most people would say no. Defensively, is he that neat? Is he that clean? Is he that sharp? I don't think so. So it's just it's a tough ask.
You can soak up the pressure.
I don't think he can soak up the pressure. And I don't even think it's not even just about soaking up the pressure. It's about being evasive. You know, can he make Warrington miss? And obviously Warrington use up energy that way because, you know, you're missing shots. You know, you get tired as well. So that's the question. I guess that would be the route to victory for him. You know, I don't know. Have you seen the face-to-face? Have you seen any of the face-offs?
I saw the very first one, but that was literally just when the fight was made. I don't know if there have been any since. I think there was just the one. But, it was interesting, man. The comments as well that you said, that was... I felt some of them were a bit below the belt, but again, with Kid Galahad having done what he's done, you know, that's to be expected. I think, in fairness though, I mean, do you think it's harsh to say that Frampton was overcooked, as in that he was past it?
Yeah, I know. I think it might be harsh, to be honest. I think it is harsh.
Yeah.
Because then I guess ultimately what we're doing is saying that Warrington, you know, it doesn't deserve that win. And for first defence, you know, I think it's harsh to not give him the credibility that deserves. Yeah.
And he showed he wasn't afraid to go after it early. He didn't show Carl Frampton respect, which is what you see most of the time. Big fight, and he went. I think it was the first round. He wobbled him, and he started throwing shots around about 90, 60 seconds in. It was very, very fast. So I didn't expect him to be I think disrespectful is the wrong word. I thought he'd show him a lot more respect than he did, but then it paid off because he wobbled him in the first 2 rounds, and Frampton never really recovered from then.
Yeah, no, I hear you on that. And I do think, you know, it's going to be a good fight. I mean, to me, it's probably outside of probably what's going on in the World Boxing Super Series. I think it's definitely up there for fight of the night, potentially, because, you know, even if, you know, Galahad has ability, so even if he's able to, you know, be getting himself ahead of on the cards, you know, and winning points, it only means that Josh Warrington will have to react to that, and how he reacts will make for a good fight. So yeah, no, I'm really looking forward to that one. I think from a fight fan's perspective, they can catch that on BT Sport. So yeah, if you are looking for something to do on a Saturday night, make sure you check that out, and we'll go from there. So yeah, also we're going to be talking briefly about the World Boxing Super Series. I know it's not a seasoned topic, or sorry, it's a topic for seasoned boxing fans, but we've got some interesting fights over there in Riga. You've got Dorticos, who's taking on Andrew Tabiti, former guest on the show. So yeah, I want to wish him the best of luck for that one, because that's a tough
definitely, opponent. Man. Best of luck.
Tough opponent, and somebody and a great opportunity as well. What do you make of the World Boxing Super Series as a whole, Rafi?
I think as a concept, it's great. It's just marketed badly. I thought really carefully about how I was going to word that, because the concept of it is great, and the knockouts in the knockout round robin format. I just think it's been done an injustice by the promoters. If that makes, I don't know if do you get what I mean in that sense? And that it's a good concept. It's just been done wrong. So things like Eubank Groves done completely wrong. The finals between Smith and Groves, again, the marketing was so bad. I don't think it was until the fight week itself that actually came to the casual fans' attention. And the names like Groves and Eubank, a lot of your pay-per-view buys are going to be done, or at least a lot of your views are going to be done from them. So I felt that the promoters, and I think it was ITV specifically for that, ITV box office, they were very poor in how they delivered the marketing for that, because even just 2-3 weeks earlier, the WBS Super Series is a concept that should be a household name in itself, but for whatever reason, it hasn't been. And I don't think someone like Frank Warren promoting that would change anything. I think it would take someone like an Eddie Hearn or an Al Heyman to get involved and have their fighters on that bill, or sorry, not on that bill, in that tournament, and that's what's needed to take it to the next level. How about yourself?
Yeah, I mean, no, I was going to say from a point of purely fights, I definitely like it. I will speak to your points about like the marketability and maybe it's sort of like the visibility amongst even casual fans. And it's maybe even some hardcore fans. I think they definitely encountered some issues from a technical point of view. The whole pay-per-view, it didn't work. I think that's probably why they've gone away from it. I do think, listening to what you're saying in terms of a summary, I think I would probably say they're probably open to ideas now. I mean, you look at the fact that the Taylor fight was shown on Sky Sports. I don't think the Tabiti fight is being shown anywhere. I will check for that. But so that's in truth be told, I mean, understandably so. There's no real sort of like British or big name American fighters on that. So I think from a point of view of being more marketable, I think you're right, because the concept is there. I think the probably interesting thing is when money starts being ploughed into it, and I also think it's the divisions. Because, you look at some of the divisions that haven't been contested and you say to yourself, wow, there's rumours of light heavyweight. Could you imagine if it probably wouldn't happen, but if they ever did a welterweight division, and convinced, the majority of PBC fighters to go in that, with a Crawford as well. I think
be unreal.
It would be, exactly. So, and that's not even to say the heavyweight division, which we know wouldn't happen. But again, do you know what I mean? It's about the finances. So I think what I've liked with them was their production. They tried to make their production different. They tried to be very disciplined. It was all about the kickoff. All fights will start, I think, 10 o'clock. So whatever the designated time is, they were like, we're like Champions League. So I did like that concept. So
that's a really interesting point you mentioned. I never thought about that. As in they kick off right at 10 just after Champ. I never realised that. That's a very good point.
But no, they want to be similar to the Champions League. Like, so as Champions League, their fixture time is like bang. I think recently, but it was always like 7:45. There's none of this lateness, and like in boxing, how can I say? There's space and room for people to be late or whatever. They're like, nope. Like their process and their operation behind the scenes is very much like getting people here at this time. So I think overall, I do think as a product. It's been good. I think definitely there's room for growth in all areas, especially what you said. But I think as a concept, I think it's not bad. So in terms of the fights to PT and Dorticus, for me, really looking forward to that fight. Not only that fight, obviously headlining is obviously Breedis and Glowacki, who are fighting for 2 titles as well. So in the cruiserweight division, I think this is a great. This is 2 great bouts. You're looking at Tabiti, who really is a prospect trying to make his name for himself, but his back's obviously by affiliation management and maybe for promotions. Then you've got Dorticus, who was obviously in the tournament last year, and I think he lost to Gaziev. Again, somebody that is trying this for the second time round, but sees the sort of the respect and the ability to become a bit of a star, and obviously that Muhammad Ali trophy. So, then you've got Glowacki versus Breedis, again, two good fights. So, from a technical point of view, I'm not even going to be able to break down the cruiserweights as much, but truth be told, I would say that from Breedis is probably the favourite going into that, and I mean,
has to be.
I would say he's probably the favourite just from the past. And Dorticus against Tabiti. I think you've got to go with Tabiti on this one. So, a bit of bias there, but that's how it goes sometimes. So anyway, let's get into the main event. Fury versus Schwarz. I mean, look, I'm going to ask you off the bat, and obviously be honest. Some people are labelling this fight a cherry pick.
Cherry pick.
Yeah.
The thing is that there's such a difference between what actually goes on and what the fighters know, because a lot of these contracts, in the case of Tyson Fury specifically, £100 million to fight 5 fights on an ESPN platform. For all we know, ESPN could have cherry-picked those fights, leading to the big unification a against Joshua. Obviously, I didn't know what was going to happen with Ruiz, and against Wilder. So I get the angle you're coming from in that it's perceived as, Tyson Fury is cherry picking, just knocking off opponents, keeping himself nice and high in the rankings, helping his record on BoxRec, but we don't really know who pulls the strings because there's an inconsistency between what's perceived and what really goes on. Because it could be Fury for all we know. It could be. But my gut's telling me it's probably his promoter. But again, it's not really my place to say. Do you know what I mean? It's not really my place to say. I'm just speculating. I don't know if you think similar or different to that.
Yeah, I mean, I think you've probably answered it in a good way not even from a diplomatical point of view, but like straight up, I think the promoter's gonna play his hand. You don't get that kind of a contract to go into a fight where potentially you lose all the chips.
Exactly.
That's the truth of it. I think from my point of view, in terms of people saying it's a cherry pick in terms of the opponent, I will say to people, look, in my opinion, I think, look, you just have to take a step back and maybe remember that he fought Wilder in his third fight back. That everything else now is going to be perceived, as it gets closer to the time, will be perceived as a weak opponent. I think the saviour for Fury in terms of the Wilder second fight, in terms of the renegotiations when he pulled out to agree the top rank deal, I think there was controversy around the result, number one, and number two, bottom line is he's been in with Wilder, so like from a smart business perspective, you can see the angle, whether there was a bit of hesitancy to make it or not. You can see the smart angle to say, look, we've been offered this deal by Top Rank. This is it. Like, we're going there and we're coming back to you. And lo and behold, a rematch has been announced. Anyway, I know from Wilder's team, not so much been said from Fury, but the point is, I think, to call it a cherry pick is harsh. I think Schwarz has got what you call a decorated CV, in a sense that he's just got he's undefeated and they're selling that. But Schwarz is not a great opponent for Tyson Fury. We know that. My fear for Tyson Fury, to be honest, is that if he doesn't stop him, like the casual fans going to appreciate what he does. Do you know what I mean? Like in terms of his skill set, for a heavyweight, you can't say he's the most entertaining heavyweight. Wilder was a good fight. No,
definitely not.
But, Klitschko wasn't even a good fight. He done what he needed to do to be done, but nobody can go back and think, oh, wow. Like, if you look back at the way Joshua lost his belts to Ruiz and you think how Klitschko lost his belts to Fury, the Joshua Ruiz fight was much more entertaining. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. So yes, my fear for Fury is that if he doesn't look entertaining, then it could be not a problem, but it could be interesting in terms of what they do next. Do they apply more pressure in the opponent afterwards? Because I think he would, after Schwarz, I wouldn't be surprised if he was to have another fight, and they maybe get the Wilder fight for maybe next year March, between March and May. So from your point of view, I'm gonna open up. I see Tom's on the line, so I'm gonna open up the Tom and see what he's got to say on a few things. Let him join the convo. Yes, Tom.
I see, Coach. How you doing?
Yes, we're good.
Not too bad, man. Yourself?
Yeah, good. Thank you.
Good. So what's your thoughts on Warrington versus Galahad, mate?
Yeah, I mean, just from listening to what you guys are saying, I mean, there's a lot to unpick with this fight. I do think Warrington is the physically stronger fighter. I do think as the fight goes late, Warrington will have the experience and the engine to go to 12 rounds. I don't think Galahad has shared a ring with anyone of the calibre of Warrington. I just think, with the momentum he's had from the Selby and Frampton fight, I think he will be a favourite. He will be a wide favourite in this fight. Galahad, obviously, you could kind of look at his record. Not really top calibre names, but even when he fought Jazza Dickens, no disrespect to Jazza Dickens, but a smaller fighter than Warrington, and I just think with Warrington's physique, I think he's going to be overbearing on the night. I just see him getting to Galahad late on. Whether the occasion's going to get to Galahad, I just think with the lead fans behind Warrington, the momentum that's going to give him throughout the fight. We saw it against Selby. Selby couldn't contain Warrington's aggression throughout the 12 rounds, and I just don't think, in terms of size, I'm not gonna doubt Galahad's fitness, because everyone knows that he's in the gym, all the time. He stays ready, he keeps fit. But I just don't think that's going to be enough on the night. I think all the attributes sway towards Warrington in terms of size, physique, ring intelligence. I think his boxing ability is criminally underrated. In my personal opinion, I think he's probably one of the best boxers out there. But then again, his strengths come with that aggression, that ferociousness that he's got, and he can do that for 12 rounds. And I just don't know if Galahad's going to have the answers for that. Maybe the early rounds he might give Warrington a little bit of trouble, but as you get down the 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 rounds, it's going to get to Galahad. And obviously Dominic Ingle in the corner is going to have the best game plan for Galahad. We all know Dominic Ingle is a trainer who he's worked with in the past. He's able to adjust and adapt on the night. But at the end of the day, Galahad's the one in there. He's going to have to adapt. And I just don't think from someone looking on the outset, I've seen enough of that to suggest that he's got a good chance in this fight. I think before, when it was announced, I thought Galahad might have a chance. But looking at the way Warrington's, his attitude, his dedication, his discipline, he's not going in there just as a champion. He's going in there with a challenger's mentality and to do a job. He's talking about unification, against the likes of Valdez. These are big fights. These are huge fights compared to domestic level fights such as a Selby and a Warrington, even a Frampton. They've all proved themselves and operated at a lower level. But I think in terms of boxing skill, boxing intelligence, the likes of Valdez, Galahad Jr., I think in my opinion, they're levels above that. And I just think Warrington, he's proved it against Selby, he proved it against Frampton that he can handle the occasion, he can handle when another fighter's got superior experience. And I think learning on the job and adjusting on the night is standing in good stead for this kind of fight. But I hope Galahad puts it on Warrington. I hope it's a competitive fight. I can see Warrington breaking it down, maybe around 9 or 10. I can see him getting to Galahad.
No. I think it's when you talk about like the levels. I think for me, and I think that's what you're saying is with me, Warrington. I think Russell Jr., Santa Cruz. I think he can hang in there with them. Even Valdez, we've seen flaws in his game to some extent. But you would probably say he's the number one out of that quartet. But yeah, definitely. That's the thing for Warrington is now, after this fight, for him to be able to push on and say, look, give me I think, unfortunately, I agree with you. I think he's a very good fighter and he impressed me so much against Selby. But I think until he fights one of those other three guys, I don't know if he's going to get maybe the respect that he deserves. So, look forward to...
I think that is the case, like, not getting the respect he deserves, because he's fought... I mean, his last two fights against Selby and Frampton, they've both... Everyone knows, British boxing fans know, world boxing fans know, that those two... Well, I mean, more so with Frampton, because he's gone over to fight, Lita Santa Cruz twice. I mean, these guys are elite fighters. But I just think, like we talk about it even with the heavyweights, there's that top three, there's that triangle of top caliber heavyweights in this era. And I think that spreads throughout the divisions. You see at welterweight, I mean, my personal opinion, I think Spence, Crawford, and arguably Thurman are the top three at welterweight. Then you have featherweights, and people are probably going to pick Valdez, even though he's not fought anyone hugely, but he just pressed time after time. He's had a consistent resume of beating, French world level fighters convincingly and systematically breaking them down. And I just think, like, when you see the likes of Frampton, Selby, who have proved themselves, won world titles, and potentially are on the slide in some case in terms of, they're not as fresh or as sharp as what they used to be. I just think adversely with Warrington, he's got that momentum, he's got that strength. He doesn't seem to fatigue or get tired as the rounds go on. And the credit has to go to Sean O'Hagan for that, for instrumentally making him the fighter that he is, with the game plan, with the technique, with his ability to conserve energy when you go into the later rounds. So I just think Galahad, although you can match him for in terms of his engine, his durability, I just don't think when you're operating at that ferocity and that level, he's going to be able to handle that. Because at the end of the day, Warrington doesn't, he's trim, he's in shape, he looks, and you probably say because of Galahad's physique, he looks probably on the scales a lot bigger than Warrington. refuels and he reboots, he looks a physically imposing fighter, and that's a lot to take at featherweight when you're having to drain yourself down to 126 pounds and then having to refuel. When he comes in the ring at probably 135, 140,
this is it. So
arguably. So it's going to be a challenge for Galahad. I mean, we've seen upsets in recent weeks, and Galahad probably, like no other fighter, has probably got that desire to win a world title. But I don't think it's like Josh Warrington said on the face-to-face. It's his time, and it's not Galahad's time. And I do believe that Warrington it's his time to go on and unify the division, and arguably be at the top of the featherweight order.
Yeah, they will definitely say about unifying. We'll definitely say about that unifying. But listen, Tom, stay on the line. Going to move to a couple of callers, and we'll come back to you. So no worries, man. No worries. So going out to 985, Mr. Appia. What's going on, bro?
How we doing, Kojo?
Yes,
cool?
I'm good. Yourself?
Yeah, fantastic. Absolutely fantastic, mate.
Good. What's on your mind? Question or statement?
Just a statement, really. Warrington and Galahad. What a British dust-up, eh?
Yeah.
Really looking forward to it. Really mouth-watering prospect. I'm going to go for Warrington. A convincing win. One of my favourite fighters at the moment. Like the fella before Tom was saying, he's got everything, and I can't see Galahad getting anything out of this fight.
Yeah.
So I'm looking at Warrington going in there and doing the business. Top champion with that underdog sort of mindset to want to go and go and do the business. So I can only see one winner there.
Yeah. Nice. I hear you on that. And Tyson Fury versus Tom Schwarz. You gonna stay up to watch that one?
Yeah, I'll try my best. I mean, Fury, it'll probably be, he'll probably stink out the place and it'll probably go to points. Fury's not really a knockout merchant, is he? So
you don't think he can take out Schwarz?
It wouldn't surprise me if he didn't. It wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah.
It wouldn't surprise me, to be honest. So we'll see what happens. Yeah.
Is that pay-per-view for you?
Nah.
No chance.
No chance.
Yeah. I think that's something which... Yeah, go on.
Yeah, but for me, to be honest, I'm not even thinking about that fight, to be fair. I'm just... Warrington and Galahad, that's what I'm interested in, to be fair. That's what I'm looking forward to, yeah.
That's
what I'm looking forward to.
That's going to be a big one, man. All right, D, listen, appreciate the call as usual.
Yeah, big up the show as usual. You're doing your thing, you're absolutely fucking killing it.
We're trying.
Thanks for the kind words, mate.
No ways, bro.
Yeah, nice one.
Appreciate that. Take care, man. Take care.
Yeah.
Take care, bro.
Take care. All right, going out to 734. 734.
Yo, what's up, guys?
What's going on, D, as well, man? You good?
Yeah, not too
Below
bad.
the belt in the house.
Yeah?
I said below the belt TV in the house.
Oh, no doubt, man. Need to revamp that, though. I feel like it's getting a bit stale, isn't it?
No, man. Everything's with the right timing, bro. Trust me, man. It's all about the right timing, brother. Don't watch nothing. What's on your mind, bro?
Sure.
Question or statement?
I guess I'll probably just follow in on the back of the previous caller, really. That Tyson Fury pay-per-view thing is just a joke, really, isn't it? It's ridiculous.
Is it his fault, though? Or do you think it's all the politics behind the scenes?
No, I think it is his fault, because you've got to have some say. I mean, the personality he puts across, no one can really tell him what's what and what's not. So he should have done what Deontay Wilder done and just said, look, this fight isn't of pay-per-view status. Let's just make it free to air, like what Wilder done with the Brazil fight. They should never have... Because if you think about it, that's the funny thing about Fury fans, UK-based ones anyway, is that they praise him and they love him and all of that, but he's kind of just spat in their faces, really. He's refused to fight in the UK. He's gone up to Vegas to fight some bum on a pay-per-view. So all the UK fans that he's got have got to bloody stay up till 3 in the morning to pay pounds or whatever to watch Fury have a 12-round snooze fest against God knows who. I think it's quite disrespect to the UK fans, really.
Do you think he's really got a choice? Because that five fight contract for 100 million with ESPN, that's on the premise that he fights in the States, and so his hands are kind of forced in that sense, in that he has to appease the Americans more than the English. And even though the UK fans have been behind him from day one, that's the name of the game now, because he's signed that contract.
Well, alright, put it this way, as far as him having to fight in America, it is still a slap in the face to the UK fans. Okay, fair enough. But as far as it being pay-per-view on BT Sport, that's nothing to do with Top Rank. You know, that's Frank Warren and BT Sport. Never be putting that on pay-per-view. Ridiculous.
I mean, I won't lie. That's what was going to be my point. I mean, again, from a, let's say, a red tape perspective, I don't know whether they are prevented to do that once it's been advertised. I don't know, but yeah, you look at it from Wilder. Wilder went to free to air. Even this card, you spoke about the card. Sullivan Barrera against Jesse Hart, Michaela Mayer versus Elizabeth Crespo. I mean, that's it. Like, so even from a point of paying £20, you're paying £20 for like how many fights on if you were to break down the ratio. So again, I don't know. I think you raise a good point. I think certain times these television stations, they need to look at maybe just providing a different rate. You know, if a fighter pulls out, I mean, we were happy with Ruiz getting, you know, in the end because it was an entertaining fight, but the rest of the card wasn't great. So make it a cheaper rate. This type of opponent, this type of fight, yeah, I don't know, because when it's Tyson Fury versus Wilder, for sure they're going to charge more then. So yeah, I get your point on that. But I just wanted to go back. You were saying something about Fury and his fans, and I think I have to say, I think I like to know more on what you say, because you know Hearn seems to always try to dig out Fury on certain stuff. I don't know if you noticed that.
Yeah, they've got this ongoing back and forth.
Yeah, because Fury was saying about this homeless, and even the attitude with the Dillian White thing. I don't know if you've seen his response to the Dillian White. I was like, in my mind, I'm a little bit like, listen, you the one that kind of said it. Dillian White didn't force you to say that the WBC. Yeah. He was like, yeah, make it for the diamond belt and we'll do it. And then now he's saying he only done it to make Hearn run around. But I'm like,
That's the thing with Fury, isn't it? He's got that bipolar type thing where he just moves through, however he feels when he wakes up is whatever's going to come out of his mouth.
Yeah.
That's why I guess in that regard, Dillian and the WBC, they shouldn't have jumped on what Fury said in the IFL interview. They should have waited to see if that was really legit, had some behind-the-scenes conversations before genuinely putting their hopes on it. Personally, I thought that maybe what Eddie Hearn and Dillian White's real strategy was to make it seem like they believed it, knowing that Fury was going to just turn around and say what he said, to then say back to the WBC, look, you've got to make us mandatory now because X, Y, and Z. That's the vibe I got, to be honest, when I first heard Eddie talking about it. I thought Eddie knows damn well Fury's not going to fight Dillian White for the diamond belt. So I kind of felt like it was a long-term strategy.
Yeah. I think, to be fair, I see where you're coming from. I wouldn't have thought that myself, but now you broke it down, I can see what you're saying about the diamond belt specifically. It's not an obvious route, but it's one, now that you broke it down, it is one that does make sense. So I'm probably coming round to that way of thinking on that.
Yeah, because Eddie's a tactician, man. There was something else I remember he done a while ago. I can't remember what it was, but I've seen him say things, and if you really listen to him, he knows how it's going to go, but he just puts it in the public domain so he can then refer back to it and say, well, look, X, Y, and Z, we need to do such and such. Because now, as you've seen with Eddie's last comments, their position of, they're going to take legal action and this, that, and the third. So I just think it's all strategy to try and get Dillian in that position. If they truly believe Fury, I'll be stunned. Because anybody that's watched Fury, even since Fury was meant to fight David Haye way back in the day, Fury's had this temperament of saying one thing today, saying another thing tomorrow. That's just how he is.
Trust me. I mean, yeah. With I mean, and I agree. I mean, with the Haye stuff, I remember obviously Haye pulled out, but even with Klitschko as well, Fury was he did Batman and all types. I'm fat, so I agree with you. I do think. So you know what? And this is just an observation. That's what we do as boxing fans. I do feel that one of the things that is different in America to here is like the media pressure and the intensity of it. And when I say that, it's like here you might do an IFL in the comfort of your gym. You know, if Rap's on TV are lucky, you'll come down to the studio, Piccadilly Circus, nice day out. But in the States, it's literally like state to state. Like one day New York, the next day maybe Texas, the next day LA, and the next day here. And there's a lot. So if you notice, there's like the promotion for it, I feel they've been very active, but I feel that's also required Fury's time. And I've seen him get a bit frustrated in interviews now. So I'm like, okay, like how is that going to be? How's that going to affect his mindset? You know? I mean, going into this fight, we'll talk about the fight. I mean, do you see any type of upset from a Tom Schwarz at all?
None. No chance in hell. And I noticed Bob Arum and them, they're trying to make it seem like, oh, well, you know, AJ underestimated Ruiz, so we can't underestimate Tom Schwarz. It's like, come on, Ruiz has fought at world level. He should really have been the WBO champion, because in my opinion, he beat Parker. Ruiz is a good fighter. This Tom Schwarz guy, I mean, I wouldn't regard myself or refer to myself as a casual, but in all honesty, I've never heard of this guy ever in my life. I don't know who he is.
To be honest, neither had I. I mean, that's just me being honest.
Yeah, I agree. And bro, listen, I'm not even going to sit in like... the only way that I knew of him was from a controversy, and it wasn't a name that necessarily stuck. But then when I've connected, like there was a fight, punch after the bell, and him and the opponent had a bit of a madness after the bell. But yeah, from a facing an opponent, like being like, oh yeah, he was in this interesting fight now. Even Ruiz, no matter what, like you said, you could always reference the Parker fight because there was a slight controversy behind it. Although you could see why he also got the loss. But yeah, no, I can't see it. But it's interesting because again, I think they're clever with what they're doing. So if you look back with Tyson Fury in Top Rank, when Wilder was fighting, they did promos. After the result, they did the same thing. This week, obviously last week, so you had Ruiz. They got Fury talking about it. Ruiz beat Joshua. Fury was talking about it. And they're using that as their catalyst to say, listen, anything can happen. Check it out. You never know, you know. This guy's still undefeated. He's not... And again, you get Bob Arum talking it up and the sales increase. So, I can't see an upset. But truth be told, I couldn't see an upset last week either. So, I'm still a bit shaken by my... It's all a bit mad.
Don't let them get you.
I'm telling you, man, I'm not going to let them get me, bro. I'm not going to let them. But, no, it's all good, bro. So, listen, we're going to move on to another caller, back to Tom. But, yeah, appreciate you calling in as usual, bro. Anything else you want to say before I let you go?
No, that's it, man. I guess the only other thing is the Warrington Kid Galahad fight. That's going to be a good fight, man.
Yes, did I get a prediction for that one? Sorry, bro. Did it?
Warrington, I believe.
Yeah.
He's had 2 solid fights, world level. Lee Selby, Carl Frampton.
Yeah.
And he battered Carl Frampton. Did you see Frampton's face?
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Frampton knew that he was in with a real guy after that fight, man.
Yeah, man, he's solid, man. I think you bet against Warrington, you're going in the wrong direction. He's proven.
Yeah.
You've got to see what Kid Galahad can do.
I mean, that division is definitely hotting up, though, because you've also got this guy, Shakur Stevenson from the States, who I think he's just had a fight announced for July 13th. He's also in Top Rank. He's in the same division. He wants Warrington. He's kind of in that Errol Spence kind of mold. Olympian, like strong for the weight, like tactically very good, like in terms of skill set. So, Warrington's definitely in the hot division. And that's without, the Valdez's of this world. But like you, I think he can hang with somebody. I think what's going to happen is a few of these guys are going to just underestimate him and just think he's a bit of a Ricky Hatton, maybe. And I think he's going to catch a few of them by surprise. I believe he can do that.
Yeah, he's solid, man. He's a workhorse here.
Exactly, man. So listen, appreciate the call, D, and big up yourself, man. And we'll catch up soon.
You know that, man.
Alright, take care, man.
Safe, Tom.
Safe, man. Safe, man. Cheers. Safe, man. Safe. Yes. I was going to say is Rafi.
Yeah. Boys, how you doing?
Yes, Tom. Back to you, man. Yes, man.
Gary?
Yeah, no, sorry.
I was just literally going to reiterate what Dee was saying. I mean, he's broken it down spot on like, about the whole Dillian White, Tyson Fury WBC situation. I do firmly believe that Hearn, Matchroom, they've tactically got this they've got this spot on with the whole sort of governing body situation. Maurizio Sullivan. I mean, how many times have we? I mean, as boxing pugilists, watching shows, watching videos after the fight, have we seen Maurizio Sullivan appear, talk about how they're trying to put in a strategy that's fair towards Dillian White? But then again, we look at the world champions at the moment now. Andy Ruiz has got 3 of the belts. These alphabetical governing bodies, by a matter of time, they're going to be imposing voluntary defences. They're going to impose their mandatory defences. So then you look at the broader heavyweight picture. You've got the likes of Pulev, who is probably bound to be installed as the IBF mandatory. So that rules out a possibility of a fight in September, October for Dillian White for a world title. I just think I think it's quite a reckless kind of petty thing to just give Dillian White the opportunity just to fight for a WBC diamond belt. I mean, he's been patient. I don't think moving to Frank Warren would be the best of moves, because we've seen it even in the past with fights between Fury and Hay trying to materialise. It hasn't worked. If White was to go down the same path, would he be guaranteed a fight for a world title? Well, Fury holds the linear world championship, but it's not a world recognised. And as a Fury fan, I'll be honest, it's not a legitimate world title. It's not something that, if you look at the alphabetical governing bodies, how they've got their belts, I always felt that there should be one world title between the whole, but obviously with the whole politics like situation and stuff with alphabetical governing bodies, they've got their belts. So obviously you can't breach that sort of that format that we have in boxing. But I think Dillian White, he's been put to the side. He's constantly been put to the side, been put as a backup choice. There hasn't really been no progression for a world title. It's been, was it 400 days and counting? Like, come on, man. It's getting a joke now. It's getting a joke.
I think it's long. I think it's even longer. But I mean, the thing is that it is a joke. Unfortunately, it is the politics of the sport, and I think with the WBC, he should have been given a shot. Even like you said, the Fury mandatory, I just think is like, wow, that's just like, it's a further slap in the face. I don't know. The only thing I would say now, and maybe this might come across like a bit like cheesy, but maybe fans might be more open to Joshua versus White. If Joshua was to beat Ruiz, and then White became a mandatory from one of the WBO or an IBF, but probably WBO maybe, I think fans would probably warm to that now that Joshua had a loss more than before.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I think that's always been the
resolution.
Yeah, and I think then at least Dillian White can say he's got his title shot, because I think for me, I was always like, he deserves it, but it can only be against Wilder because that's the only belt that's out there. I think now, whether it's a Joshua or Ruiz, my point is I think that may be his best angle because he's ranked amongst the WBO and the IBF, so maybe that's the position. But then you would also say that means Hearn has to push and do more. If Joshua was to lose again, potentially that's what he's going to do. So, I don't know. I think for me, after this Rivas fight, you would hope he gets a shot against Wilder, but it's unlikely. Let's just call it as it is. I think, for me, if Dillian White can get another shot against Joshua, then I think, you know what, that might actually be the best route for him now, given that he's ranked amongst two bodies.
Yeah, I
think
think
he'll regret.
Sorry, go on.
No, go on, mate.
No, I was just going to say, I think Hearn's priority it's not to focus on Dillian White getting him a world title shot. It's just it's obvious that the priority now is to get Joshua back to the top, get back his world titles. Dillian White isn't going to wait around for Joshua to win back his world titles, have the rematch, then to have a voluntary defence, or for Ruiz to keep that belt in the States, because the rematch is inevitable. It's going to happen next. And then it's that backlog of months upon months of where governing bodies saying, well, the IBF, when is their mandatory supposed to be due? I think it's October. Then you've got the WBO, their mandatory is probably early next year, March. So again, it caused this recycle of backlog. Dillian White's not, there's no resolution coming through from the WBC. I know that they've said that Brazil had contractually signed with Wilder, and that's along their guidelines that he was able to take that fight before Dillian White, despite him being above him in the rankings. But I just think, from boxing fans, we abide by the whole sort of politics and governing bodies and the rules that they implement. But in terms of fair treatment, Dillian White, 400 days for a world title shot. He's fought 13 WBC sanctioned fights. Who else has he got to beat to get a world title? Okay.
That's what I mean.
45 people said that he ducked. He avoided those fights. But I mean, what benefit is Pulev or an Ortiz going to do for one, Dillian White's profile, two, his route to a world title when he's already cemented himself as the number one in the WBC, and three, those two fighters, he's not going to get the credit for beating them if he does, because it's a lose-lose situation. If he beats Pulev inside 4 rounds, people will say, no, Pulev is shot. He's never been the same since when he fought Chisora, when he fought Huey Fury. People even thought Huey Fury outpointed Pulev. Some people thought, and those fights, they're not going to. If Pulev comes in anywhere below his best, people are going to say, "Oh, well, he wasn't a suitable opponent."
Do you know what it is, though, Tom? And sorry, I'm just going to say this quickly. I think you are right. It's the only thing I think where they may have made a slight mess up is with the Chisora, because I think Parker, like the Brown, we know what it was, but he got rid of him, demolished him where you're supposed to. So skill set wise, we like, boom, you're there. Parker, he bullied him. I know people say, yeah, there's extra. If there was another round, he would have lost, but there wasn't. And he bullied Parker from the first round, so he put it on him probably more effectively than Joshua did, and it was a more entertaining fight. The Chisora one, I think that's where he may have been let down, because potentially he could have been losing on the cards, but he pulled it out with a wicked stoppage. But I think it's where Chisora was ranked against the other bodies, especially within the WBC. I think that's where it's gone wrong. So I think that's where it's tough for him, because, like you said, what else does he have to do? He shouldn't have to do anything else. He deserves a title shot, but it's just going to be tough for him. So I don't know. I think an Ortiz or Pulev, again, will just make people say, listen, this guy fights everybody. You guys need to give it. He needs a shot. I think if he takes one of those fights, which is unlikely with Ortiz, I think he has to get a shot, because that's a real
fights as well.
Yeah, exactly, and I think they're recognised as well in that sense. So listen, so Tom, stay on the line. I'm going to come back to you. There's another 2 callers, but I'm going to stay on the line. I'm going to come back to you. So we're going to go out to 644 quickly. 644.
Hello, Coach.
Yes. Yes. Long time.
Man?
How you doing, man? We're here with Rafi and Tom.
I'm good, man. Have to call in and support my brother. How you doing, man?
We're good, man. What's on your mind? Question or statement?
I was going to talk about the Fury Schwarz fight. So I had a quick look at this guy's record, and I just looked at his fight with Senat Gashi. I don't know if you've looked at any of his fights.
Yeah.
I mean, this guy is not even a fringe contender, man. He is awful. You're going to see his fight with Senat Gashi on YouTube.
That's the one with... That's the one where they had a fight after the bell, right?
Yeah. If Fury doesn't take this guy out, doesn't take him out in style, right, for me that would be a terrible performance. So what I expect is a lot of showboating for Fury to start off with, probably 1 or 2 rounds, just to get the crowds and the juices flowing and stuff like that, and I'd expect a knockout within 5 or 6 rounds. That's
you think that early?
Huh?
You think that early?
Yeah, I mean, this guy's terrible. I think really Fury can knock him out whenever he wants. It's going to be that easy, in my opinion.
I mean, in terms of knockout power, though, when do you think we've seen Fury display that, or you think it's literally? I mean, Schwarz, I'm not going to give him any credibility, but I probably would put him above a Safiri or or Pianetta.
But the thing is, right? Look, you got to bear in mind, right? These guys are weighing 240, 250 pounds, mate. Yeah, Fury probably doesn't deploy himself to knock people out. That's probably just not his style. But if he really wanted to, he probably could. And where you would expect him to knock people out, if he's going to knock people out, it would be people like Schwarz. Right? That's the first thing. Right? Second thing, you got to bear in mind, he's got a massive contract with Top Rank, right? $85 million. And you've got to remember what Aaron was saying. This guy's going to become the biggest global star in world sports, period, right? Now, to get that kind of following, right, you're going to have to, look at Triple G as an example. Triple G became so successful based on his style and knocking people out, right? So Fury, to get that, he's not going to get that kind of support on a 12-round, boxing display. That's not going to happen. So he's going to be out to knock this guy out, right? And, Fury truly wanted to. A guy that big and that heavy, mate, and he's most certainly got the technique to do so, right? He will. He will knock this guy out.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, carry on, Rafi.
I was going to say, I think there's a case for arguing that on that premise alone, for Tyson Fury to succeed in the US, it's a little bit too late in the day for a left to change its spot. So he's regimented in his ways of boxing at range, and of course for purists, that's fantastic. But for the casual fan base who will be more inclined to aesthetic performances like you get from your Wilders and your Joshuas, it's a bit too late in the day to change that. So for you, does he have to go down the marketing route?
Well, hold on. If he was fighting the likes of Joshua, or he's fighting the likes of Ortiz, or people like that, yeah, it will be quite difficult, to change his style. I'm not saying he's going to change his style now. I'm saying he's fighting a really, really poor opponent, right? And, bear in mind what you just said there in terms of casual fan base, right? The casual fans, they don't go there to see boxing, right? They go to see knockouts, right? But that's all they understand. Yeah. They don't understand the technical side of boxing, right? When someone like Fury is fighting a technical fight, right, they won't appreciate that. They just won't get it, right? So, and boxing is still quite a small sport, irrespective of what you say, compared to like basketball or baseball or anything like that, right? American football is a fringe sport in America compared to any of those, right? We know where Arab is marketing Fury, right? It's quite clear. And for him to do that, right, for their marketing policies to work and what they're trying to achieve in the wider market, it's going to have to be a knockout performance by Fury, right? So it's not about him changing his style, right? But if it was about changing his style, yeah, and they would have, it wasn't about changing his style, they would have got a far better opponent, right? So you've got to bear in mind, from someone like Deontay Wilder down to someone like Schwarz, it's a massive change in levels, and there's a reason for that, yeah? If it was about...
But at some stage in that process, he's going to have to level up his opponent. And
yes, but
in doing so, he's going to have to deliver the knockout to go with it, in which case that won't happen.
But it's how these things work, though, right? Look at Eddie Hearn. Wherever he says, people believe, right? You can see, like, Joshua's fan base is going to start probably going on the back of his last performance, right? So you have one knockout performance, two knockout performances, you have all the marketing, you have all the hype behind that, and suddenly you've got thousands, millions of casual fans who don't really know much about boxing, like Tyson Fury is the next Scott, right? Doesn't make the superstar by then. Then when he faces a real true caliber opponent, it doesn't matter, because he becomes a star anyway. You see what I'm trying to say? Yeah?
Yeah, I mean, for me, I would say, look, there's definitely no doubt about it. This is all a marketing ploy. I think 5 would, for me, I think is a good impression. I think 5 for me is I just question whether he can do that in 5 rounds. I don't even doubt he can stop him. I don't even doubt that maybe the towel will throw in the corner. But it's just like 5th round knockout for Fury in period. I think is not a bad look. Don't think Schwarz is a respectable opponent. But I think ultimately Fury, for me, it's going to be down to maybe what weight he comes in. Because again, I just don't see him having the power, but what way he comes into the ring will be interesting in terms of the ability to move, throw shots, and then obviously plant his feet and land some big shots. So yeah.
It doesn't have to be a KO. It's going to be either a TKO, right, where the referee just steps in and stops the fight, or it's going to be a KO. But I think 100% it's going to be one of those.
I think 5th round, personally, like you said, I think that works to whatever they're trying to do from a marketing perspective. But as you said, it's gonna be interesting. I do think, anything between the 3rd and 5th round, I personally can't see it. But that's the whole thing about this game. We've got to see what happens.
Yeah, in my opinion, anything beyond that is just not a good performance. It's not a good look for Fury, especially this caliber opponent.
But I get what you're saying, but I think you're looking at it from a boxing fan. I think even a casual will forget, because I think even if it's an 8th round knockout, they'll forget it. Look at Joshua Takam. That wasn't even a great fight, but he got the stoppage, and everyone's like, Joshua. So yeah, I do think, if for what they're trying to do, I don't think it will make a difference, because they've been marketing him really well. But listen, now we're going to move on to the next caller. Appreciate you calling in and supporting, man. Keep doing so.
Worries, man.
All right, take it in a bit. Cheers, man. All right, going out to 910. Yeah, hello.
What's going on? How you doing, Coach?
Yes. What's going on? What's going on? Is it Sam?
Yeah, it's
Yes,
It's
yes.
Every week you get this, bro. You know who it is.
I just gotta get.
What time it is?
just-
It's on TV time, man.
What's good, bro? Here with Rafi.
Huh?
I'm here with Rafi. Rafi's here.
Passion.
Yeah, of course, man. It's on TV time. Let's talk. Let's get into it. Find me a topic.
Rafi, you want to throw a topic?
We'll start. We'll build up. So we'll go from Galahad, the Galahad fight. Who's your money on in that?
Oh, Galahad, man. I watched the face-off. I actually watched the face-off a couple of days ago. I just feel like there's so much intent in Galahad with his intention on what he wants to do and where he wants to go. I just feel that Galahad's got it, man. I don't know. I just feel like it's going to be his night.
Okay.
And if he pulls this off, how far can he go? Is that just the glass ceiling? Is that as high as the ceiling goes? Or can he go on to unify? If he does what you reckon he will, is that the ceiling? Or do you think he can go on to unify the division? If he
No, I do. If he beats Warrington, it depends on the faction that he beats Warrington. If it's a really tight fight, then it's questionable as to whether he can go on to unify, because everyone knows these days a split decision doesn't necessarily mean it's a big loss on the other fighter's side. It means you're just about toe. It just depends on how the referee saw the activity levels of the fighter within the fights and the rounds. It's all down to judges' interpretation, which means in another fight they could get into the judge's favour. So in that circumstance, if the split decision wins, then he's got the potential, but he might come up against someone like a Warrington with the same intent, same fighting style. But if we're talking, if he knocks him out, then without a shadow of a doubt, to knock out Ryder that way isn't the easiest thing. So I do feel like if he's able to get an emphatic knockdown or knocked out, then he's got all the capabilities to go on and win it.
That's a bold shout.
I do have all the faith in him, though. I just feel like once I saw that face, once I saw the face off, I don't know if you guys saw it, but just the way he was talking, it was like he was possessed. You know how Klitschko was in that AJ fight when he was possessed, talking like that? I get that. I thought he was kind of taking a leaf out of Klitschko's foot there in terms of the mind games and things he was playing, but there's definitely a massive dislike for the two guys. There's a respect and a dislike for those two guys, but I do think he'll come up.
Okay.
He'll get the victory.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And then going up around about 10 weight divisions, what about the Fury fight?
Fury, I think this is I wouldn't say it should be a win, but after what we saw in the last couple of weeks, I don't want to go too much into it anymore, because it's kind of getting not boring, but I'm kind of wanting to see what Fury does now. But I do feel I don't think Fury will knock him out, because he's not a knockout artist, and if he does, just shows what kind of opponent Tom Schwarz is. What is he? Is he ranked top 15? Is he top 15?
Nah, man. He's not even.
Top 10 in governing bodies?
I think he's in. He might be in top 10 in one, but I think overall he's low. I want to say
overall low. I get that. He's on ESPN. He's got that big deal, so he wants to try and get his ratings up. So they're trying to get a bum, but then not bum, but a lower quality fighter, and argue because they're in the top 10 that he's a worthy opponent. He's a dangerous opponent. And I think after obviously losing to Ruiz, it kind of gives Tom Schwarz a bit of a puncher's chance in a sense, and people aren't actually just seeing him as an underdog as much as they were probably prior to that fight.
Yeah.
He's got an opportunity, but realistically, in a normal world, Fury's going to do him over.
Yeah.
Personally.
Yeah. No.
We live in
It's his Vegas debut. Yeah. Sorry, mate. Go on.
No, I mean, after last weekend, I wouldn't rule anything out, but I'm probably inclined to agree with what you're saying in that I'm going for a Fury win, but I don't want to go too much into it, like you said, because, I mean, after last weekend, nothing can be ruled out. I mean, those odds are 1 to 50, and he just made a mockery of them, to be honest. So,
anything can happen. But yeah, I don't want to go too much into it. Exactly like you said.
Yeah, exactly. I do feel I like Fury, but you know, I am an AJ man, and that was obviously one of the guys who was upset about the loss. But I do feel Fury knows what he did. He's a very clever man.
Yeah, man.
Very, very clever man with a lot of money in his pocket with this ESPN deal. So, and I think Frank Warren and those guys aren't going to make the same mistake that Joshua and Eddie did. But it's interesting times for the heavyweight division. Interesting times. What do you think of Dillian White being mandatory, or potentially Dillian White potentially fighting Wilder?
I think he's been frozen out because basically Joshua is now tied up in the rematch until the end of the year, so that rules Joshua and Ruiz out of the picture. So that leaves one belt left for this year, and we know that Wilder's fighting Ortiz, and then off the back of that, we believe, I think it's in around about February or January or March, he's going to be fighting Fury. So those two belts are actually tied up now until March 2020. So yeah, around about the next 9 months. So
but I do think he'll go. I think Eddie and those guys will go after the WBC. I think they will, especially if Joshua doesn't retain his belt. I do feel they will not sue, but they'll go after the WBC to demand that being a mandatory. Because I do think it's a bit of a shock how Brazil got placed over Dillian White.
Yeah. I mean, I do get what you were saying about it's a shock with Brazil, but at the end of the day, that's now looking back. Right now, he has to fight Ortiz because that's the fight that's been signed. But going forward, I do get what you're saying in that he does have every right to have a shot. But Tyson Fury drew White. He didn't win, he didn't lose. And so you could argue he's got a seat in front in the queue in terms of who deserves to face Wilder the most. I don't know if you agree with that, though.
No, I get what you're saying, but I just do think it's a bit unfair, obviously, because Fury is a big draw. He's lost his belts. He comes in, he gets a draw, which is arguably a win on his side. But I do feel that I don't think Wilder wants to rematch him again. I just think it's a load of shit talk. I'm tired of just hearing. I think Wilder talks the most out of all of them. Yeah, I think he's full of it. Because he's not that. He's not educated or. He's not educated. He's not exactly the smartest tool on the box. Stuff he comes out of and things he says is a bit questionable.
Just a bit.
So that's why I don't necessarily take his judgment as seriously as say if I listen to a Joshua or Tyson Fury. Even though Tyson Fury is controversial, but I do feel he can articulate himself. He's more rational than how Deontay Wilder thinks. Because Deontay Wilder thinks because he had that one belt over the how many years and only had about less than 4 or 5 defenses for that title. He seems to feel that he's the best in the division. But if you actually look at resumes, let's take out Joshua's loss now. If you look at resumes, he's got a better resume.
Yeah.
I mean, there's not in a shorter time period. You're definitely right. I think at some point, you just have to look at his last 3 fights. I think it's hard to say anything other than he wants to fight. I think Joshua wants to fight. Fury again wants to fight. Unfortunately, the business side. But yeah, I wanted to say on your point around Fury. I think for me, I think you're right. It will be a points win because I just think his performance kind of warrants that more than anything. Definitely going to be interesting. And in terms of Dillian White, do you not think? For me personally, it would have been good to see Wilder fight him next rather than Ortiz. In terms of
Wilder fight who?
Dillian White. I would have rather Dillian White if instead of the Ortiz fight. That would have been a lot better.
Definitely. If I saw Dillian White, Wilder, and it's in New York, best believe I'm flying over there to watch that because I think that would just be exciting. The American audience have only fought over in the States a couple of times or once or twice. I do feel that he'll be the underdog, but he'll really make noise because Dillian White's a good talker and he gets in people's heads. As he's very good at doing, and I think he'll put on a real good show. And I think that fight, especially with the way their styles, you've got Wilder, the one punch knockout artist, and you've got someone like Dillian White who works the body, who puts people under pressure, who just bullies people into making mistakes and just open themselves up. So it should be. I wish that could happen, but the powers that be don't let it happen, and it's the politics, this horrible politics of what we have boxing.
Yeah, I'll tell you, I hear that, bro. So listen,
point.
sorry, Rafika, I was just going to quickly roll on because we're just moving past the time.
Of course, man.
So, Sam, listen, appreciate the call as per usual. Just going to roll on to Tom last minute and then we're going to head out. But I appreciate the call as always.
No worries. Thank you, guys.
Take care, man.
Bye-bye.
Pleasure, man. Bye.
Yeah, just going out to Tom. Yes, Tom.
Yes, coach.
Yes. Quick prediction.
Yeah, for Fury's fight, I think, like you guys were touching on, Schwarz isn't obviously the best opponent that we were wishing for. He isn't a very renowned opponent, but I understand where, ESPN and Top Rank are positioning Fury in the States. Obviously, it's his breakthrough fight, his profile fight, and like you said, I think Fury, he looks sharp, he looks loose, and he looks switched on. So I can see him putting on a show, doing the job in emphatic style. It's going to be one of those ones where he either breaks him down, the rest jumps in mid-round, or he just convincingly dances his way to points and wins comfortably, but looks good in doing it. So it'll be interesting. I'm going to go for Fury and convincing points. I think he obviously, like Anand said earlier, he doesn't really deploy himself to get the knockout. He's not really his style. He's more loose, he feigns. He uses his jab, he uses his footwork, his ring intelligence. I just think that's what I don't think he's going to change. There's not necessarily added pressure because he's already come over to the US for next time to fight. So you can't be criticising for not doing that again. Expect to get rid of Schwarz and that. Much of a critical opponent.
Alright, mate. Tom, sorry, man. There's a bit of a mad background noise. So
sorry. So just Fury on point is my fight.
No worries, man. Alright, so listen, we're going to make a move, but I appreciate you calling in and supporting the show remotely while you're doing your thing. Rafi, good show as always. So guys, don't forget, subscribe on the YouTube, Instagram, like, share, comment, Facebook, all of that. Raps on TV at all of the above. So appreciate everybody calling in and all the guys listening in the future. Hopefully
great show tonight, guys. Well done.
Great show. Well done, guys.
Cheers, mate.
Cheers.
Thanks to everyone who called.
Cheers. No worries, man.